That's right. That's right. How are we doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you? How are you? So it's
Excellent.
funny. So for our viewers and listeners out here, like when this is the first time I see Jay all week. So it's actually we're like, hey, how's it going? What's up? Like there's some actual real happiness that I get to see my pal because
that's right. Despite what people might think, we do not spend a lot of time commiserating during the week. I mean,
no, not enough.
You're running your practice. I'm running my practice. So we're definitely doing our own thing during the week. Maybe a little bit of overlap, a little bit of connecting people here and there, which is what we're want to do, right? We're connectors. We're bringing people together.
That's right.
Yeah. So we're working on that stuff.
It's good. It's good. So things are like you said. We talked about like how the weather adds the nicer weather adds a bit of a little more flavor to everybody than they could possibly be having before that. And I think a lot of that is just because you get outside, and it's easier to get outside because it was cold. April was cold. It was like weirdly cold, right? May in the beginning of it was cold. So I think just the idea of being able to get outside and as the coronavirus, as we start to, deal with it more and more, I think the idea of, if you're outside and you have some space between you, then that's okay. And I think what we're going to see more and more of that. We're going to see people like actually getting together, and kind of starting to kind of ease up on not so much the distance part, but they're going to be outside and get to see one another.
Yeah, I agree with you. You see a lot more of these social distancing get-togethers where people are saying, "Hey, let's get together and we'll just keep our distance. We'll pull our chairs up, get out the measurement tape. Everybody's no, don't get in my aura."
There's one thing though. This was just brought to my attention by my home producer here, who actually happens to be in the medical field. She said, "No, with the mask on, So
when you get
yeah, exactly. So make sure that everybody's masked up. Everybody's masked up.
Yeah. No. We're by no means saying unleash the beast, right? We're by saying, hey, look, practice smart social distancing. Keep that mask on. I think, aren't you running, because of her connection to the medical field, aren't you running an underground mask supply warehouse over there?
We do. We're making masks. We have about 17 kids that are all working. Yeah, they're all the kids on the street.
6 feet apart, 6 feet apart down in the basement. That's right.
It's about six, right? Yeah.
Six-ish. Yep.
6 as the crow flies. Yep. Right. But it's funny. So I mean, I could go all day, and I'm sure everybody is having these like funny mask stories. So now we're kind of in this, everybody wears a mask when you go outside or if you're in a public place. That was the ruling that came down in Holliston, which, was like that, here we go. Like, that's no more goofing around, no more maybe this, no more, no more.
It's not optional. It's not optional.
We're not gonna help you decide. We're not gonna like leave it up to you. We'll make the decision for you. And I know not everybody's happy about that. There's a couple of our faithful listeners. I have to talk one of them off the ledge. Your buddy Ken from Holliston.
Ken.
He's not a big mask fan. In fact, I think I may have to go over and in his sleep put a mask on him just to make sure that he has one ready.
Him and I socially distanced this week. We talked about.
That's good. That's good.
Yep.
So, but the one thing that cracks me up is like, so the mask is designed to protect other people from you, right? It's not, no one's got these. I mean, unless you're wearing an N95 mask, which is airtight, but the mask is designed so you don't give your potential germs to other people. You're protecting people. So in that vein, when people are wearing their masks, like this, and they're like, can I get two?
It's hanging off one ear.
Right.
Hanging off one ear. Yeah.
Do you have Old Milwaukee? Because I need. I'll have two sixes Old Milwaukee and a pack of Newport. Right. So it's like that. That's funny, and it's funny because I was recently in a store, and there was a guy in the store, and this is what he was doing. He was an older gentleman, so maybe he was fighting it, but he's like walking around. He's going, "Hey, how you doing? Happy Corona. Hey, how you doing? Happy Corona." And I'm like, this can't really be real.
Right. Yeah. Might be in tape for something. Is this a show or something?
Yeah.
No, I think it's funny. When we may have talked about this in the show last week, 3 weeks ago, you walked into a store, you saw somebody wearing it, you kind of thought, all right, that's a little extreme, but whatever, that's fine, right? Now you walk into a store, somebody's not wearing a mask. You think to yourself, that's a little extreme. Stay away. And that's a little extreme. Don't get near me. We're good.
Yeah. How things have changed. So it's funny. So, kind of, and I'm sure everybody has these can tell these stories, kind of everything leading up. So from like January, February into January and February, then finally into March, we in America, we were kind of watching the coronavirus at a distance. So we're like, wow, yeah, this is it's real. Like, wow, China's getting hit, right? But we haven't really embraced it yet. And again, this is probably the reason why we've been hit so hard. Harder than any other country in the world, because we didn't get it. Like, we were just we were
a little slow to adopt what was going on. Let's call it that. Putting the politics aside, we were a little slow to adopt what was going on.
But not even you're right. The politics side, everybody, individuals were like, we didn't want to, we were using hope as a course of action. I hope it doesn't come here. I hope it's not as bad as we think. I hope it gets contained before I hope this, I hope that, right? And I'm sure all of us have these stories. I have one, I have a very good one. So we had a soccer tournament. My kids were playing in a soccer tournament in Virginia, which meant we had to fly to Virginia. So we were like, oh yeah, I think it should be okay. It shouldn't be a problem, right? So we get on a plane, and this is in early March. We get on a plane early March, and there's a select few of people in the airport that are wearing masks. Right. And I can remember looking at them and being like, really? Like, you guys are like overdoing it a little bit, right? They're like, and then there was maybe one or two guys on the plane that were wearing masks. Right now, I would wear 3 masks if I was going to get onto a plane. Oh, yeah. Those guys are looking at us like, yeah, good luck, pal. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Good luck. Yeah. Oh, do I look silly? Yeah, I know I do. You know why? Because I don't have coronavirus. Guess what? You might. Yeah.
Well, that's right. And the silliness thing is really, it has absolutely come to the whole idea of, we're just not going to play around anymore. And thanks, then so be it. And what's the saying? After giving every opportunity to avoid doing everything else possible, Americans will do the right thing, right?
Yeah. They'll come.
This is exactly that situation, right?
Yeah.
Everybody tried 100 different ways to avoid doing it, rather than just say, "Hey, just put the mask on."
Yeah, and the reality of it is that it's now we're in this place where you got to wear a mask, and people are going to be wearing masks in public for a long time, just until this thing all gets under control in some way, shape, or form. So
I think it's sorted out. That's right. And it's new normal, and we'll know a lot more next week.
Yeah,
we'll know a lot more next week. It's a little bit unfortunate that everybody will find out on Monday whether or not they could have been opened. It'd be nice to have a little bit of a heads up, but we'll find out on Monday, and we'll know a lot more. And one of the things that I had mentioned to, I couldn't tell you, countless people last week, in the course of conversation, I'd say, so what are your plans? Not this weekend. What are your plans next weekend?
Yeah.
And everybody kind of looked at me. A lot of people looked at me really weird. So what do you mean next weekend?
Oh, it's Memorial Day.
Memorial Day weekend. And everybody went, wait, what?
Yeah.
Memorial Day weekend. The time-space continuum is completely turned on its ear, right?
Yeah, it's different.
Has any idea like what day it is, what time it is? Those numbers are like meaningless. All of a sudden, it's the middle of May.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you're looking at it. Where did 3 weeks go? Where did 2 weeks go? It truly has been running in place, right?
Right. Like hamster wheel running in place, like that. Yeah. That's like I'm not going anywhere, and the calendar days are clicking by, and right before you know it, I'm over 2 weeks into May. Like I'm more than halfway through the month of May.
Oh, somebody at the office yesterday said, we're talking about some planning on a conference call and talking about some things in July. And one person on the call was like, July, what are you talking about? And the other person on the call says, July's 6 weeks away.
Yeah.
6 weeks is a long time, don't get me wrong, but it's still like, whoa, yeah. It is moving, right? So, this whole, loving the time of coronavirus, man, it's flying by.
Right. So we haven't had, I will say this, I'm a little disappointed. We haven't had anybody kind of send in an email to tell us like what their coronavirus goals were. So I guess everybody's just going to be stuck with mine and Jay's coronavirus and how
we're,
our
we're
progress.
we're going to assign goals. We're just going to, what are you doing today? I don't know. Okay, well now, like your parents, right? What are you doing today? Nah, nothing. No, you're not. Here's your day. I planned it all out for you.
Yeah,
right? You had your.
And again, right? Because we have the luxury of time, we can do things that are we don't have to finish it all in one day, right? We don't have to. Right. Nothing has to be get done in one day, but it's the idea of kind of starting something and starting the momentum to go in a certain. We talked about this last week in a particular direction. Then one of my favorite sayings. The 1,000-mile journey begins with the first step. So let's take that step. Yeah, I made it up. Well, I didn't really.
I think it was yours originally, but
no, but I say it. I say it a lot.
You can co-opt it if you want. That's fine.
I say it a lot.
So, what's your goal? What are you trying to get? Oh, do you want me to go to break first and then come back and talk goals?
I'm exhausted. Let's take a break. You're right.
Did you change where you put your camera in the house?
No.
You're in a different seat.
No. It's a great question because my camera, for some reason, my computer is at like a 30-degree angle right now for me. So, and it messes me up. So if I move left, my head moves. Yeah, whatever. It's
all right.
You wouldn't understand. You wouldn't get it.
There he is.
You guys going to break?
We're taking
all right.
All right. We'll be right back on 101.
John's not as young as he used to be. He needs a lot more breaks.
That's a terrible segment into the break. Right. We're gonna work on that.
All right. Here we go.
Here we go.
We're back. Right. Yes.
We're back. And I'm out.
All right, fantastic.
I'm John. I'm nice
Jay.
to meet you. Yeah. I'm
Joe
Money
J. My FM 101.
Joe J.
Yeah.
I have a question. So we're back, by the way. Yeah, we are Money in the Law. And we're actually, as your screen sees, it's the law and money. I like how yours says, I probably need to update so people know who I am. I'm not like the law's guest on the show.
Yeah.
I'll do that. I'm gonna do that. I have a question for you. It's a personal question, not too hard.
Yeah,
so Jay, you obviously everybody knows you, all the world knows you as Jay, unless they visit your office or do some type of some business dealings with you, or either that or you're standing in front of a judge in court, whether you're the attorney or you're the plaintiff or the defendant. Yeah. Joseph J. When did Jay come as your chosen moniker?
Actually, for me, it was right from Jump Street. So my middle name is Patrick. So when my father was younger, same name as me. He's a senior, I was a junior, or I am a junior. It was JP, and then at some point it just got shortened to Junior.
JP. So J, not necessarily JAY, just the letter J. And then you just the AY just morphed into it.
Yeah, no. I started out as the JAY. My father was JP, and his at some point in time converted into the J. That's how it happened.
That makes absolutely no sense to me. Could you explain that to me?
No, it makes perfect sense. Makes perfect sense. My father was also Joseph Patrick Marsden.
Correct, right?
He was a younger man. It was JP Marsden. He
went by JP.
He went by JP not long, and then his got converted into J.
Really?
And then when I came along, it was not let's start JP all over again and see if that happens. They just went right with what worked. Let's go with J.
So Joseph, what about? I mean, what's wrong with Joe, Joey, JoJo?
No idea. I really didn't get a say in the matter.
Right.
I don't remember being consulted about it.
That's funny.
I think it was something that two people who are a little further up on the org chart. I think those are the ones who made that decision.
That's right. Right.
It wasn't really something that. And by the way, I'm not one of those people. And I don't know if you've ever known this. This is going to sound a little. I guess sexist is probably the right way to say this, but I don't. We do a lot of drafting for clients, as you might imagine, right?
Yeah.
And so we see, depending on who takes whose name in the marriage, let's say who's married. If a woman gives up her maiden name, takes her husband's married name, whatever direction that goes, 99% of the time it's that, right? Somebody comes in, they got married, they adopted their husband's name. We don't see a lot of guys adopting their wife's name.
No.
But we see a lot of name stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so it kind of amazes me when people come in, right? And we have an intake sheet that we ask people to fill out, and they'll fill out the intake sheet. and we'll send them off drafts of their documents, right?
Mhm.
And then it's like a game, right? Like people will come back and say, you know, I have 7 versions of my name.
Sure, and they're all out there. I've all signed something with those different.
That's
versions.
exactly right. So I don't know why it is. I mean, I can tell you what, like for guys, it tends to be, who's a junior, who's not a junior. I guess it's not really even it's not a actually, the more I think about it, it's not even I thought it was going to be a gender thing, like we saw.
Yeah. No, it's not just guys. It's not just girls.
But I know it's not. It's absurd. We see it all the time, and people come in and they say, "I got your documents. Just so you know, I go by the third, or Duke of Hollister.
I go by Dutch. Call me Dutch.
Or yeah, that's right. I mean, and I don't, and it always blows my mind. And I say to myself, I'll give you one, right? Like I'll give you tried something on, and it's John Drohan. I'll give it to you. At one point, you went by Jay Drohan. Whatever, that's fine, right? Maybe your name's Jonathan and you tried Jonathan. I'll give you. We get the craziest stuff, right? That people show up and it's like their first name gets converted to their middle initial, or their middle initial or their first initial. It's now J. Patrick Marsden. It's not J. Marsden. Yeah. And so we've kind of solved that problem by resorting to saying to people, I need to know what you need to tell us your legal name.
No, but that's what a great service that you provide. I mean, it dawned on me. It just dawned on me right now. That is another service that your lawyer, your friendly neighborhood lawyer, is going to provide for you, because
all provide you self-awareness. Is that what we're doing?
No, he's going to tell you what your real name is. Like, listen, it's over. Like, you know why? Because you're signing this legal document. So if something happens to you, all your money goes to this person. And if this ain't right, guess what? They're not getting it. So I'll tell you what, it's not like, hey, what's your name? It's like, no. This is your name. What it says what I wrote right here, and where you signed underneath, and where we notarized it, that's your name.
You're not signing your documents as Lumpy, all right? That's not happening, all right? What for the love of all that's holy, what is your name, right?
You know what? Jay, I tell you right now, stop asking them. Tell them what their name is. Yeah, I'm not asking you what your name is. What it says on this birth certificate and on this driver's license, that's what I wrote. This form of ID that I needed to take a photocopy of, that's what I'm writing down on your.
I mean, it's
so easy.
But it's not. It's a funny thing, and it sounds funny, right?
Right.
But it happens on like a super regular basis. People come in and we spend 20 minutes talking with people about what's your name. What's your name?
Say my name.
What's your name?
What's
my name?
What's your real
what's your name? And then they ask, right? They go, what do you mean, what's my name? What's your name? What's your legal name?
Simple. I'm telling you.
Calls you, not what your father calls you, not what your nickname is on the hockey team.
Now,
your name.
From here on out, I say you stop asking that question. I'm not asking you what your name is. I'm telling you what your name is. Here it is. Yep. End of story. You can call yourself whatever you want. This is your name. This is what I'm going to call you.
but what's equally interesting is the story.
Oh yeah, because you got to hear it, right? Now I got to hear it, right? When you ask the question, what's your name? Now I got to hear it.
All right, so that doesn't seem like your name. Well, let me tell you. Oh boy. Okay.
I don't want to hear it. Now I got to hear it.
I got to hear it. And so I don't understand that. I never understood that.
No.
I don't get that. I don't get how you got that. How do you want me to sign this? How do you want me to sign this? Well, what's your signature? How do you sign stuff? Right. If I was giving you
a line.
If I was giving you a giant check, are you going to make an X?
Yeah. You're going to mess it up? You're going to screw with it?
You have a stamp? You have a stamp? How would you sign this?
Yeah.
How do you sign your name? By the way, which we don't even know what that is, right? I mean, it's a funny thing, and it comes up a lot, and there's a lot of back and forth, and people think we're joking, right? And I say, look, because here's what happens. So you see this all the time. AKA, right? Also known as, right? When you go sign your mortgage documents,
Is that what that stands for?
there's a piece of paper,
Yeah.
right? And it's what you mentioned before. It's how many other names have you been known by? What are your aliases, right?
That's right.
And it's like and for some people, it's like Law and Order, right? You know, they pull your rap sheet out and they get all these names on there, right? And some people come in the office and they're like, well, I've gone by a lot of different names. My middle name used to be my last name. My middle name was my first name.
Yeah.
And some people, there's no connection. They just names, just grabbing names. You know what?
Yeah. I called myself Dave for a long time. Yeah.
I went by Mitch for a probably first whole semester. And
funny story. Let me tell you how that came up.
Yeah, that's right. I was really big into whatever it was at the time.
Right. Yeah.
Just gonna go to college, reinvent myself, assign myself a name that has zero basis in reality, and off we go. Off we go.
Mitch is a great name to adopt. That's a great, because not many people are adopting Mitch these days. Yeah, it's Mitch.
No.
Short for Mitchell? Nope, it's just Mitch. Yep.
Well, that's the other thing. So it's always that's what, and I run into, to your point, right? How come it's not? How come you're not Joe? How come? Yeah. I don't know why I'm not Joe. I wasn't consulted, but here it is. This is what we have.
So just for the record, because this is I mean, I know people. This is important stuff. We're talking about. I guess this has to do with the law and legal documentation, legal names, right? So that's what we're talking about today. So my co-host, you were never given the option to say, I'd like to be known as Joe. I like the name Joe. I like Joey, right? That's a cool name, right? Joe.
I don't know, Jamoki. I don't know. It could be.
Joe,
I
mean, Joe is a pretty common name. It's it's a pretty relatively famous name in the Catholic and Christian Church, right? I mean, it's got some good rap with it, right?
He's got a good vibe.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's
got a good reputation, right? Pretty stand-up guy, right? Did the right thing, right? I'll adopt the kid, whatever. Yeah, sure.
I mean, it's a good name. It's funny. My dad's brother, my dad's twin brother, his first name is Joseph, which is my grandfather's name, and my grandfather always went by Joseph. But again, it was the same type of thing. As like, so he was a junior, named after my grandfather. I've known him for his entire as Uncle Mike. He dropped the Joe as soon as he could. It's funny because again, I don't understand. I like that. I do like the name Joe. I do like the name Joe.
Strong, solid name. I'll give you that.
It's a strong. It is a strong name. But I will never. I can't see you as Joe. You're not Joe. You're Jay.
No,
Jay.
It's funny. I do remember at one point, my old man coming to me and saying, "Hey, we have a question here."
Oh yeah, we have a question. I've seen this. So the question is, what about a woman with the same name as her mom? Right. This is a question from Deb. You call. You call. Who do you ask for the young or the old? Yeah. So that's something that we see. I actually have it in my practice. I have a mother and a daughter who have the exact same name, and she's actually the second. We have
you've deemed her the second.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and I've never
another legendary name right there.
Yeah, we see on Facebook, right? Thurston Howell III from Brian. Yeah, good buddy. Right? Yeah. So women. Why couldn't women be juniors? Why couldn't women be? They could do that as well, right?
Well, it's funny. So Deb just said the junior comes off when the senior passes, right? So
yeah.
My dad has passed, and I do remember him coming to me at some point, probably a teenager, when you're actually starting to sign. You're starting to get mail into your name. You set up a bank account as a young kid or whatever. And he says to me, there's another sibling right
Oh, here it comes. Here it comes. All the good nicknames are going to come out. So Jay's,
yeah.
So that's Sharon.
So my father says to me, you're going to start adding junior to your name when you sign things, because you're getting mail, I'm getting mail. You're a kid, I get, I don't want you to, get my.
I don't want you to open up my social security check.
Mail, right? So you get your mail, I'll get my mail. So I do remember that. And then the other thing that we do tell people is, if you carry it around with you, I don't have mine on me right this second. If you carry it around with you, you want to get a laugh, pull out your social security card.
Yeah.
and take a look at your signature on your Social Security card.
Yeah. It's a little different.
100 years ago, right? 100 years ago, and see what you signed.
Because you had to sign it, right? You had to sign it when you got it, right? Yeah.
Yep. My signature has changed dramatically, but I've changed my name, but my signature is completely different. It's like everybody's, because we signed so many documents for clients, it's indecipherable.
No, it's not supposed to be. It's a famous person's signature. Yeah.
You see it, you're like,
it's a celebrity. It's a celebrity signature. Yeah, and
That's right.
and think about it. How many times do you sign your name when when you're doing like a mortgage close or something like that? It can't be anything legible. It can't be anything that takes like 2 seconds. No, it's got to be fast.
No.
It's got to be a fraction of a second.
Well, and you talk on the law side, you talk about this all the time, right? If you're ever in court, you're ever in a trial, you're ever to your point, either a plaintiff or a witness or whatever. At some point, you might get think about this all the time, right? Think about how many documents you signed over the course of your lifetime, right?
Yeah.
And at some point, you might get handed a document, and someone's going to say to you, did you sign this agreement? Is that your signature, right? I mean, the answer is, I don't remember signing that.
Let me take a look at it.
Exactly. Right, here you go. Right. There's that moment on Lifetime TV, right? Document. Did you sign this? And the answer is, that looks like my signature. I don't.
Of course, I did.
I may have signed it. I may not have signed it, but that looks like my signature. I don't know if it's.
I don't remember what I had for breakfast yesterday, but I'm sure I signed that 11 years ago.
I don't remember Memorial Day was next week. Is it exclusively my signature? I have no idea. What we do tell people, and this does come up, is for those of you who like to play a little fast and loose with your identification, with your self-identification. We have done affidavits for people where somebody will say, my name is X. I've gone by Y and Z in the past. When you sign that, and that's conclusive, evidence of this is what we've done. We do a lot of deeds for clients, transferring property, and there's a lot of AKAs on some of those deeds, because when you transfer property from person A to person B, you're supposed to transfer. You can only transfer it the way you got it. So
that's right.
If I was to get a piece of property as JP Marsden, then I would have to transfer that property to as JP Marsden.
Because anybody else could be a different guy.
Yeah. That's right. So the workaround in there is the AKA, right? Also known as Joseph Marsden. Sometimes you see FKA, not what you're thinking. It's not dirty. It's formally known as. You see that in a lot of marital situations where a husband came in and somebody was married. Now they're not married. They're divorced. Their name has changed. And this stuff takes a lot. It takes a little bit of time to work this stuff out of the system.
Right. It takes a little stuff. It takes a little time to stop chuckling about the acronym FKA. Okay, so we're going to write this down, FKA. Here's what we call it.
There you go. Yeah, you want my name? Here's my name. Here's my name. My name. That's right.
FKA himself.
But again, it does come up. It does come up. When I first was out on my own, the first time that I went and started practicing law and started drafting plans for people, one of the very early plans I did for somebody I had known my entire life. And he says, I need to get my estate plan done. I said, I got you covered. That's great. We'll get it going. And drafted up all the documents and done the whole thing. Get ready to meet and go sign everything. And I hand him the documents to sign. And he looks at me and he goes,
"Not my name.
My name's John. Never knew it. Whole life. Never knew it." One of those like, where'd that come from? Right? So why do you go by this? Right?
Why do you go by Doug or Mitch?
That's right. That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
That's funny.
So yeah. So it's crazy. So to answer Deb's question, I probably won't be dropping the junior anytime soon, just out of force of habit. Even though my dad's passed, I'll keep that for any number of reasons. But
why? But if you sign stuff and you're known as stuff as junior, right? Then I mean, how? That's an excellent question. So I too am a junior, and my father also passed away. So, but I never understood. I never knew that now that because my father's passed away, there's no more junior. Because what if there were some sort of a state or something named after my father, let's say a charitable organization or something like that was named the John P. Drohan Senior, then, and if I drop my name or just the John P. Drohan, and if I drop the junior, then couldn't that cause some sort of confusion?
I think you're right. I think it could. I think that's, I think at some point that that becomes a challenge or an issue. And, that's how you separate the two. That's how we've kind of operated. And I don't see myself taking that thing down anytime soon for, again, a whole host of reasons.
Well, other than maybe, you could also have you ever been referred to as Junior, which is often a common, love
another
acronym?
nickname? No.
Yeah.
Another nickname? No.
Come here, Junior.
No.
Not even. Yeah, it's probably not so much a term of endearment. Like when you're as a junior, if you're getting called Junior, it's usually Junior. Come here.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It usually doesn't. It usually is something like Junior Great Report Card. That's not what happens.
It usually doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't end so well. That's actually very funny. So so just some interesting information for you. So you realize my middle name is Patrick as well. I too am a junior as well. And I too, as growing up, because my father's name was John, always was known as Pat. So he was called Pat by his family as a kid growing up. So of course, when I show up, what does everybody call me? Pat. My name's Pat. And
that makes absolutely no sense. But okay.
But I'm just saying that.
I know. I'm just telling you.
That's the same thing that happened to you. What do you mean it makes no sense?
I would be if we weren't doing this show together, I'd be telling that story.
Yeah. What do you mean? Yeah. Well, I'm telling you right now. This is the same thing. It just you told me the same thing happened. This is the irony of Money in the Law, right? Before we go to break. So I was known as Pat, but the difference and it was like I didn't have a choice until one day my parents told me. They said, and I think I was in maybe fourth or fifth grade. I was about to change schools, and they said, you can decide what name you want to use. And like a fool,
you were given the choice.
I was given the choice, and like a fool, for some reason. Oh, I mean, I know what the reasons are, but I said I want to be known as John. I want to be known as John, and I'm thinking that's like a strong name, right? We grew up, very had a lot of good cred in the Bible, right? A lot of good stuff, right?
Yep.
So I'm like, I want to be known as John because as a kid I was known as Pat. I was known as Patsy. I was known as Patsy DiTerlizzi. I was known as Fat Pat. So I mean, I had mixed emotions about the name Pat.
You were putting that in the rearview mirror.
Sure enough, right? And I let it go. And of course, as I start to get old and realize, Pat's a cool name. Patrick's a cool name. It's Irish, got my Irish heritage to it, right? And the only saving grace is to this day, none of my family ever call me John. My mother, my sisters, my brother, all the people that I grew up with, they all call me Pat. My family, my wife, my kids, they all know me as John, but I'm still Pat. And all those other, nice things like Fat Pat, that all stuck with me. So
yeah, that tends to hang around.
That's right. All right. So on that note, let's go take a quick break here on Money in the Law as we're talking about monikers, legal names, a very interesting conversation, and with some personal anecdotes that go along with it. Money in the Law with Jay Marsden.
Ray, did you ever go by anything other than Ray?
Ray was a name that I was using when I was a kid. So a lot of family members will still call me that. But my dad, I'm the third actually.
See, there you go.
So when I sign, it is Raymond A. Ozier the third. I still use the third.
Of course you would.
That's why they call you Ray Ray?
Why?
You're so nice, they had to name you twice. Come on. Write that one down.
Greg.
On that note, I'm going to get more coffee.
We'll be right back.
There you go. We'll be right back on 101.3 My FM with Money and the Law.
Is this thing on?
This work?
You can't hear me on Facebook. This is so weird trying to do two things.
See me?
I see you now. All right, guys, you have 9.5 minutes.
That's all we need.
Right.
And
we can fill that.
Right.
One of the things that the name issue does come up a lot on the law side is when we do trust planning for people, and we'll do a Drohan family trust, and if your parents have a trust, it might be named the same thing. And so a lot of times the defining reference, if you will, is the date that these things were created. And for the most part, you don't see a lot of situations where two generations of planning do all their planning together and then sign all their documents on the same exact day. So a lot of times, if there's two Marsden,
what's the chance?
There'll be dates. The dates will be different, and that's what becomes the defining document, if you will. What makes the document defining from one another. So you can name these things whenever you want. When you name and you trust, it doesn't have to be your name. Everybody names them different things. There's all kinds of stuff baked in there. We try to keep it pretty simple on our end, but that is what defines them differently. And we hip to the idea that everybody comes at it from a different approach and has different names for different things. But it is important. I mean, it's an identifier. It's important. You need to know what these things are going to be called. So
you brought up a great point before. So I mean, the idea of this, like you said, there's the documentation and all of the the signatures and name changing and name definite. I mean, this all comes back to the details that although they seem insignificant, when it comes down to legal documentation, when it comes down to contracts, when it comes down to property and how that property is held, particularly if the property is held by whether it be in an estate plan or whether it be in some sort of an agreement where property has to be transferred. If things aren't exactly correct, then that could cause a problem, and that could cause a discrepancy where somebody who may not have access or may not have rights to that property can argue, say, look, wait a minute, this was done incorrectly. And as well as anybody that this stuff could get caught up in debate and in the court system. And so I guess my point is
to your point, and where that's exactly what happens. What I don't know how it happens, but I can tell you that depending on somebody's mood, right? And the mood would be of somebody that you have to deal with, either at the insurance company, at the bank, at the brokerage house, right? When you come in and say, look, I have a power of attorney here, and I'm John Drohan's power of attorney. And then the answer from the bank, for example, is, well, the account isn't held in the name of John Drohan. It's held in the name of Pat Drohan. I said, well, he went by Pat. Okay, well,
doesn't matter.
Well, why don't we roll Pat in here and let's take care of this? And I say, well, Pat's not power of attorney, but a document to give me authority, and you're not around anymore. Untangling these things becomes a real problem, right?
Yeah. And it could become an expensive problem if you're.
That's exactly right. Yeah. That's exactly right. So it's funny. So like the advice that we give people around consolidating your assets, put them in one location, put them in a trust where where everything's at and you can kind of control it. There also is so we talk about house cleaning. There's a cleanup opportunity here as well in terms of how you hold property or how you have things identified or how you have things designated. Because at some point down the road, if something happens, checks are going to get made payable to whatever name is on things.
Yeah.
You walk into the bank with the check made payable to Pat Drohan, they're not going to deposit it in your account, or they're going to make you open up another account. Now, if you're around to do that, it's a headache, but it's a solution, or it's a somewhat easier solution. If you're not around to do that, then it's a hassle because somebody has to do it, and they have to go chase down even more difficult documentation to go back and prove you are who you say you are, right?
Right. And you brought up the point. This can be fixed, right? This can be so. And Jay, earlier in the show, for those of you who haven't been watching the entire show, you missed a good show, but it's okay. Jay brought up a point about affidavits where there's legal documentation that you can have done that will allow you to kind of rectify all this. And so if you you're in a situation where a name that you went by, and most commonly you find this with people who were, with women who have been married who have changed their names, and or people have been divorced and then changed back,
but then there's children of divorce, right? Or,
exactly. Yeah.
Mom and dad got divorced, and mom got remarried, and I was really young, and I just voluntarily, right? You see this a lot.
Yeah.
I voluntarily took my stepdad's name because he was a powerful influence in my life. I stepped on his name.
It makes sense.
He was a powerful influence in my life, and I wanted to do it as a surprise, and I wanted to do it out of respect, and so I just started doing it. Right?
Yeah.
There's no documentation of how it happened, but here we are, right? And then at some point, we do planning for somebody, and I say to them, "Well, what's your legal name?" And we go right back into that story we talked about at the beginning of the show. And my point is, as facetious as we sort of make this on the show today, this stuff matters, right?
Yeah.
So at some point, this doesn't have to be a project. This isn't something you sit down and spend your Saturday doing, but just be conscious of it to try to bring some consistency to this, because if you don't do it, somebody else is going to have to do it, right? Yeah. That's, it's very hard if you're not around to prove that you were person X when everybody knew you as person Y.
Mr. Wayne, I mean, I understand that you you went by a couple different things. The Dark Knight, something to do with bats, right? I understand that, but we have no legal documentation, right? Alfred here is trying to vouch for you, but I'm sorry, there's nothing.
I get the Batman thing, but do you have a legal document that says you actually are the Batman?
Is it Batman or is it the Batman? Because you signed here.
How do you sign your name? How do you?
What? We're going to let the judge decide.
Robin. Does Robin have a last name? Is it like Cher? Does everybody? Yeah. He is? Is that how it works?
What is Robin's last name? I mean, exactly. Is he right? I mean, Dick Grayson, I think is his other. It's too confusing. It's too much. And when you're talking about the Wayne estate, I mean, it's a sizable estate, right?
He's of Means, if I remember correctly.
He was of Means, one of the biggest guys in Gotham. All right.
Yep.
All right. So before we wrap it up, I just want to do one plug for a new thing that is happening here in Holliston. It is a movement that is being started by the Holliston Cable Access TV, and everybody's involved, and you, me, everybody, and it is a movement to support Holliston business. I mean, and we're not talking about just like the downtown guys. We're talking about everybody who has a business in Holliston. And again, this can also expand out to any of these local communities, because we've been preaching it for years. Jay and I have both been, are both, former ambassadors to the Holliston Business Association. We've been involved in this forever, in trying to support local businesses and the importance of it. Right now, it is it's life essential. It's critical to these businesses because they make up the fabric of what the communities we live in. I mean, Jay's office.
We've said this a million times. Those are the names that you see on the back of the baseball jersey.
Yeah.
That's your community right there. It's not Lowe's, right?
Yep.
These big giant conglomerates. It's the small corporations that support the fabric of your community.
So look for this. It's hashtag Holliston Together. It's the movement. Tell everybody, do what you can to really support these local businesses. Everybody, tell your friends. It's a big thing that's happening, and we're doing it in order to keep one of the most important parts of our community alive during this coronavirus pandemic.
Oh, I love it. Fantastic.
Yep. And that's it. Time to go.
What? That was whatever that was. That was probably pretty funny.
I spelled that right, didn't I?
You sure did. Yes, you did. That would be well done. You even spelled the hashtag correctly.
Soccer clap.
Thanks so much,
Ray. Have a great weekend, everybody. Right. Memorial Day coming up.
Absolutely.
We'll know more on Monday, so lots to talk about next week. Maybe we'll do the show remote next week.
Yeah. All right. Write down all your names.
That's right.
Get them all sorted. All right. We'll see everybody next week.
Right. Hey, thanks, everybody. Be well.